deliver this message to you, especially the people of Australia. Bring your planes, bring everything you want to us, because it will not harm us. Why? Because we have Allah Azza wa Jal.
Allahu Akbar!
I believe that the flag of Islam will fly over the building, the Parliament building in Australia, as much as it will in America and in Moscow and in all parts of the world.
Our forces are ready to go.
These weapons that we have, these soldiers, we will not stop fighting, we will not put down our weapons until we reach your lands.
We're just normal people. I eat, sleep and do everything you do.
You know, we are a community, we are one community.
An Australian woman next to me looked at me, she goes, bloody Muslims.
Why should all Muslims be painted with one brush?
Why we are such a threat to them.
Everyone has got to be on Team Australia.
I think the team was the wrong concept to use.
They're looking for an environment where they can feel that they can win against a society which they find has been very oppressive and negative towards them.
For years before the Lebanese Civil War began, political and religious tensions were high, with Sunnis dominating the coast, Shias dominating the south, and Maronite Christians dominating the government. The war was brewing. People could feel it. People had a sense of their future destroyed by the bombs and gunshots. In order to give their children a better life with peace, Ayman Baghdadi's parents decided to come to Australia. In 1971, they arrived in Sydney just before the war erupted. At that time, Ayman was only 10. After 43 years, Ayman's parents had achieved what they had promised to their children, a happy, steady, and peaceful life in Sydney. Today, the family has grown to about 100 members. Most of the younger generation were born in this beautiful city. Even after more than 40 years in Australia, this extended family still maintains strong cultural bonds.
So today we have our religious festivity. It's Eid al-Adha, which means that it's the end of this Hajj pilgrimage where people go to Mecca and they do a religious sort of like a new opening to our religion. So people come over down to my house. We have a nice breakfast, and we have sweets and just like a nice gathering in between families and each other, and just a nice conversation. Just like it's like a typical celebration.
The reason that Lo Jin's relatives come down to her house is to see her grandmother, to show their respect to the oldest woman in the whole family. Another important part of this celebration is the family pray together to thank God for all they have.
We have 5 prayers. The Fajr, which is in the morning, they recite it aloud. The Dhuhr prayer, which is now the noon prayer, that's silent. The Asr prayer, which is in the afternoon, that's silent.
Okay.
There's two more prayers at night, one at sunset and one at dusk. They're also allowed. Whoever's going to lead the prayer, it's preferable that he knows the Quran, like he knows it off by heart, or he knows a good portion of it.
Yeah.
Not, somebody who doesn't know it, so he
Yeah,
has to
exactly.
know the Quran.
Well,
And obviously he has a bit of a voice because he's going to be out loud, so it's nice for people to hear.
That's cool.
So they're the criteria for whoever leads the prayer. Male, he knows his
Adult,
Quran, he's an adult. If he has a good voice, it's preferable because some of the prayers it's going to be allowed.
Okay.
So it's not silent.
Everything looks perfect in this family until you turn the television on.
Terrorism police.
The terrorist group was planning to
counter-terrorism raids which have taken place in Sydney.
His biggest ever counter-terrorism raids.
Australia's terror alert level has been lifted to high.
About 100 young Australian Muslims have gone to the Middle East and joined the Islamic State or ISIS.
Until we reach your lands, until we take the head of every...
It's disgusting. I feel sorry for myself. I feel sorry for myself because I'm represented like that, and I feel sorry for the families and friends that have to endure all this hardship.
Everyone has got to be on Team Australia. Everyone has got to put this country, its interests, its values and its people first, and you don't migrate to this country unless you want to join our team.
Are you guys Australian?
We're born here.
They may feel Australian, but not the sort of Australian that the Prime Minister likes to think about.
I really don't know why we are such a threat to them.
ISIS is saying, well, if you feel you have no place there, you have a place here.
Lo Jing is an 18-year-old teenager who has just finished her HSC exams. Next year, she is going to university study her dream major. She wants to be a lawyer, but her reason that wants to be a lawyer is different from others.
Mainly as well for me because as a Muslim, everything you do, every action, everything you do, it's looked at negatively before it's positive. People assume things straight away before they really know who you are. Because I'm a Muslim, because I wear this headpiece on my head, it defines me as a terrorist. It defines me as and my religion as a non-peaceful religion. So this symbolizes that yes, I'm an ordinary Australian. Yes, I want to be a lawyer just like everybody else, and yes, I will defend myself to the end as a ordinary Australian who is criminal free.
Sydney is a vibrant and cosmopolitan city. It has famous buildings, world-class beaches, and activities for every Australian. But do all Australians enjoy what this city has to offer?
I'd rather not be there. Why? I just because sometimes, you know, people, you can tell, you know, when people look at you and they're just very surprised and they stare at you for a very long time. You feel like they're amazed by what they're looking at. You know, it's like some fascinating art in their eyes, you know, something very weird, something very different. And then sometimes you get, like I told you, the negative perceptions where some people are really rude. Some people...
What do you mean rude?
Like, they call out, like, you know, they just say really rude things to you. Like, some people swear at you. Yeah, some people, like, they're just not as friendly as they should be, you know. Like, say, for example, walking into a store, asking for assistance in something. Some people just ignore you. and they just walk away.
There is a sense that they are marginalised and not valued, that their beliefs and religion are denigrated or ridiculed, and that they have no real space.
Sometimes it occurs, and sometimes, for me, I'd rather not put myself in that sometimes position. I don't want to ever have that happen to me. So I'd rather, for example, shop down, up in the western suburbs like Bankstown and Greenacre or Parramatta even, it's alright. So I'd rather put myself in a position where people are more friendly, are more open and more like me than a situation where people are different and you feel very alienated. So, I don't know, it's just easier.
It's a loving family. Lo Jing and her father are quite close. The feeling inside Lo Jing's heart hurts Ayman at the same time.
Of course I'm worried. She stands out as a Muslim more than I do. So therefore, if I'm walking in the street, I could be anybody. But Lo Jing, with being a Muslim, as a female Muslim, where she wears the headscarf, she is noted as a Muslim. Now, there is some bigots out there or somebody who doesn't understand Islam, and obviously she'll feel this intimidation towards her. I am worried that she feels that way. Because at the end of the day, she's going to go into an environment. I mean, now she's at school, so she's isolated and she's protected. But once she goes out into the workforce, and God knows who's out there. So she has to be prepared to whatever comes along.
Why do you think she will be through this?
I think it's the media that played a big role into it, by stigmatizing Muslims in general. I mean, ratings and headlines, obviously media would like to portray whatever they want to portray. I don't believe media is fair. They twist and turn things.
More clicks, more hits they get on their site, the better they do for their advertisers. So the hotter they can make the debate, the more materially better off they become. So every time somebody attacks a Muslim, one of these shock jocks, his income goes up. Over the last 15 years or so, the period since 9/11, there's been a growing apprehension in the narratives in the West about the goals and dangers of radical Islam.
Counter-terrorism raids which have taken place in Sydney. Information on the terror.
Sydney has a particularly difficult history in relationship to people from the Middle East, and it's true to say that for the most part the media have been very aggressive about stereotyping people from the Middle East, looking for opportunities and often finding them, which is the other side of it, opportunities to represent people from the Middle East as dangerous threats, either as criminals or as terrorists. The main effect of that has been that everybody from the Middle East gets the same label, and it makes life extremely difficult for them.
Under the intense scrutiny of the security services and the media, Islamophobia has taken hold of the country. Now, Australian Muslims have decided to take action. 25th of October is the National Mosque Open Day.
It comes down to, at the end of the day, why are we here? Okay, we're here today, and I think what a fantastic initiative. It's a fantastic initiative because it's about engagement, isn't it? We all live in this place. The thing that strikes me about this man Muhammad, peace be upon him, is that he never responded to a harm with another harm. One of the messages is to remove any misunderstanding, because you see that within the community there's a lot of misunderstanding, and you see also recently what's been happening. A lot of Muslims are worried, a lot of Muslims are anxious, a lot of Muslims are saying, well, what do we do? How do we go about our lives, right? And so this for them is like an outlet to show off who you are. That's really what it is. It's really to show off who we are and what we're about. And what I was saying before with answering one of the questions, Because one of the key aspects that Prophet Muhammad taught was always to respond to a harm with a good. And so this here really is about showing what Islam is truly about.
Australian Defence Forces on all of our behalf.
There's so much goodwill today, positive vibe, engaging with the community. We had 3 ministers here today, fantastic. How does a community continue to live in peace and harmony if there's no engagement? So there needs to be engagement, there needs to be seeing each other, interaction, robust, absolutely robust conversation, but respectful at the same time.
In Ayman's family, they have a woman who converted to Islam. She experienced what it looks like being as the other.
So I used to work in the city, and they used to say like, oh, you're a terrorist, you're going to blow up this, or, you know, take the scarf off your head. A lot of people, because I'm Australian, they associate being Muslim with only being Arab. You can't be any other like race. So they used to say, oh, she doesn't even speak English, and talk about me. And then like at the start, I'd say, well, no, I am Australian. I understand what you're saying. This is not correct. And sometimes they'd be like, oh, I'm really sorry. And sometimes they wouldn't care.
Comes a lot of issues, comes a lot of hardship, comes a lot of pain, but you grow stronger, you know, you become more strengthened.
More and more young Australians join ISIS.
It's a small minority, but as people say, it's growing. I mean, even if there are 1,000 young people who are attracted to ISIS sufficiently that they might consider going, in a community of 400,000, that's a very small percentage, right? But it's that percentage which dominates the debate. So from the ISIS point of view, that's fantastic, right? If you can make Western societies present Islam as though all Muslims are like ISIS, you've won. You've won a fantastic advantage, because your propaganda is being done for you by the West.
Mohammed Elimar was captured on Facebook declaring his loyalty to one of the most brutal militant groups involved in the Syrian civil war.
This is Mohammed Elimar, one of Australia's most infamous terrorists, who is fighting for ISIS. This is his father, Mando Elimar. He is the one donate $10,000 for free barbecue in Lakamba. Hundreds flicked to the Muslims Love Australia barbecue for better Australian-Muslim relations. But behind this enjoyable event is a father who just lost his son.
It's going to be very hard on him, of course. I mean, first of all, he's lost his child. Second of all, now all the attention's on him. Third of all, he knows if his son doesn't die over there, he'll probably end up in jail down here. So whichever way he looks at it, his child is gone. And all the attention that he's receiving, all the bad attention that he's receiving. He goes on the news, they show him what he's doing. Apart from the grief that he's going through, he's put through more grief by media spotlighting on him, what he's saying, what he did, where he came from, and all the rest of it. He's had enough. You know, he's already lost his son. What more can you do to him? So, but then again, he said, personally, I blame the media. I mean, the media just, after he's on the ground, they're just kicking him again.
The media has played a very central role in that. But I don't think we can, in a sense, blame the media for the whole thing. It's a much deeper, wider thing. It's the education system that that told them they can only be failures. It was a much broader social system that marginalised them.
Why Australians need to prove that they love Australia?
Because they are put in that situation. So even though I love Australia, when somebody puts me in a position that it puts a question mark on my loyalty to Australia, then I have to go out of my way to prove, hang on a minute, I love Australia, so why are you doing this to me? So this guy is trying to say, look, listen, I'm not the bad guy. I love Australia. If somebody's played with my son's mind and they took him away, so why are you still hitting me? Why are you still badgering me? So therefore he has to go out and prove, look, I love Australia for 100 years more. But he's had enough.
Everyone has got to be on Team Australia. Everyone has got...
The concept of Team Australia, called for by the Abbott government, has been largely received with dissatisfaction by the Muslim community.
What it does is it demands from people that you either sign on to what I say is Australian or you're against us. So you're either with us or against us, right? It's a very simplistic position, and it's not very different from ISIS' position. ISIS says you're either one of us or you're the enemy, right? So how does Tony Abbott respond? He says you're either one of us or you're the enemy. It's a very stupid strategy because it plays into the hands of extremists. It delivers to the extremists evidence that they need to show the people they're trying to recruit that there's no choice. You know, you either have to be a hysterical right-wing white man or you have no place. And ISIS is saying, well, if you feel you have no place there, you have a place here.
Look, the reason why many people had an issue with the term Team Australia is, you know, if you look at the concept of a team, if a person in the team misbehaves, you can kick him off the team. You know, why don't we think of it more like as a family? You know, more like as a family, that if somebody, you know, in the family, you know, veers off, what does the family do? You can't kick him outside the family, he's part and parcel of the family. So I think the team was the wrong concept to use, right? Because, you know, it could have implications and maybe, you know, taken, you know, in this way or that way. And many people have said a lot of things about that, but I would rather something that is really very inclusive.
With all the current tensions relating to terrorism and radical Islam, Lo Jing continues stress for her religion, even though life would be easier if she took off her scarf. So why doesn't she?
I will always be proud of my religion. I will never, ever, ever let anyone or anything come in the way of my religion. It's really, really nice, and you can put it in like a lot of ways. It's really cute. For me, it's such a beautiful thing. You know, when you put the scarf on, you feel so enlightened and you feel so spiritual and connected to your religion. When I put it on, it was I was only 9. And my parents and my uncles and everyone, take your scarf off, you're too young. Take your scarf off, you're too young. It's really nice, I like it. When I wear this, other people know, yes, she's Muslim.
Despite all those hardships, Amen still holds the hope for his homeland.
I think it's on a good track. I can't see anything wrong with it. There's a lot of work to be done. People don't. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people, because people try to put stones in the wheels or put forks in the wheels, and you have to try and not allow these people to hijack the agendas. So therefore, by me being a good Muslim and showing my next door neighbour that I'm a good Muslim, by him being a good non-Muslim and showing me that he's a good non-Muslim, we both work together and show our third neighbour that, hang on a minute, this is a good multicultural society.
How do you defend yourself?
First and foremost, as a Muslim who is Australian from a Lebanese background. There is no conflict with being a Muslim or Lebanese or Australian. You can be all three in one. Australia is my home. This is where I live and this is where I'll always live.
I want to represent Islam as a very good, peaceful, ordinary religion, you know, just like everyone else. You know, many people believe just each person has a certain sect and certain belief and they go with it, and there's nothing wrong with that.